morning, Bill.
To absolutely no fanfare. Good morning, Bill.
Man, how are you, dude?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Awesome,
good.
awesome. All right,
Mhm.
so we've not been here for a while,
Day or two. We've
day
missed
or
a
two.
couple.
Yeah, we've not been super accountable to like doing this every morning like we had originally talked about.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah,
except we've just been doing it without each other and no camera and no accountability.
yeah, exactly right.
But that,
So why why are we back?
I would say we're back because we missed the back and forth and the accountability and the opportunities to help each other get better. And I'm starting a new position, and you said, um, but
Mike
instead,
Tao,
I'll
what's
also start
up?
something. Thank you, Mr. Tao. That's Stranger Things, right? Waiting 3 years for the next season to come out, or whatever show you like. Um, I wouldn't say we're on the same production level as then, but hey, maybe
Man,
we can find a Demogorgon or something to
maybe
hang
so.
from the rafters.
Man, I already feel better with a Mike Tao comment.
That's right. That's right.
Makes
Feels
me
like home.
yeah, it's just removing the anxiety that I was feeling before the Mike Tao comment. I feel better about it.
Very
All
true.
right.
Very true. Yeah. So I'm,
So,
I'm starting a new position, and you were like, "Hey, we've talked about this. Why don't we get back together and just and at least that's something we could talk about, to start our journey back on this thing."
yeah. So, a lot has changed since the last time we were here.
Mhm.
And so, Jake has a new role, and that's making a lot of the things he was going for and very focused on has room to shift. And there's ways to think about it differently now because it's not going to be his main source of revenue. And so, we're excited about that. And the role that he's taking is essentially talking to people like myself, which is a whole new avatar, a whole new persona for Jake to try to build relationships and rapport with. So we thought it would be interesting to come back in here, help him get adjusted and really like in traction for his first 90 days of this new leadership role while he's also talking to salespeople and doing this other stuff. And candidly, I've been slacking a little bit. We got the book out. We had some really cool wins and some big projects. I'm going to share a bunch of stuff on here that I've not talked about publicly. Had some projects that didn't go the right way, and so got a little bit of maybe not trauma, but a little bit of gun shyness kind
Mhm.
of stored up that I'm looking forward to working through. Good morning, everybody. We have Ann Small. We have
Hey, Ann.
Michelle. Look at that.
Hello.
Look at
Hello,
that.
Michelle.
Good morning,
So good to see
everybody.
y'all's faces.
So, but yes, we're here to get both back on the track because I've been slacking a little bit because it just happens that way occasionally. It is very hard to stay at the top level of quality. Things are going to happen. So that's what we're here to talk about and work through.
Drift
Uh,
happens.
Good morning, Oliver. Dobby
Yes,
Bug.
yes. My daughter actually got me that for Father's Day as part of her Father's Day package. So I said, sure, free Dobby. Let's go.
Yes, and we are back. Man, God, I love Ann Small. There's something
Yeah.
about Ann Small chat energy that is hard to replicate.
It's real. It's a phenomenon. It's a real
Yes, for
thing.
sure.
People pay for that.
They do pay for that. Absolutely. She's an
Yeah.
amazing community person.
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to share where this
Yeah.
role is? You want to pull back the
Absolutely.
curtain? Okay.
Yeah, for those of you who do know Marcus Sheridan, he was known as the Sales Lion, but he partnered with an agency called Impact Plus, and he's basically a sales enablement coach. I mean, essentially what he keynotes about and has written books about. However, John and I, if you've heard any of our stuff in the past, have many times talked about the lack of bridge between sales and marketing departments and how there should be the strongest bridge should be between those departments because essentially they're having the same conversation just in different stages. And so that's what this group does is they actually create content that helps educate buyers. It's the focus of the content so that when a sales conversation happens, it's much more about not, hey, what can you do for me? It's like, why should I work with you? So yeah, and I'm going in a leadership role, and they already have a fantastic product that works really, really well at enterprise level. I've never seen so many case studies on a website, and we're going to try and build this thing out for small businesses too, because it's a healthy paycheck to be a part of their program. So we're going to try and bring it down to something a little bit more manageable for small businesses.
I'm very interested in this because I spend a lot of time talking about content, right? I mean, the book is content, podcast is content. We actually have some very cool guests who think about content very differently already lined up to come on the show and kind of talk about it, because essentially you're just making it easier for people to want to have meetings with you, to have great conversations with you, right? And we have some very fascinating people who were thinking about content very differently. They're just like, well, here's a blog post, and because I wrote a blog post, and here's a case study, and because I wrote these two things, you're now supposed to take me seriously in this space. It doesn't work that way anymore, because everybody can have a case study up on their website. It's about more than that. So content just works. So I'm very excited to see how these huge engines that are able to just crank out mountains and mountains of content, how to take the best practices of what's working at that top tier level and take it down to the small business level, small medium business, because the teams aren't as big, the funding isn't as prevalent and stuff. So
exactly, time and money are the two biggest things.
Absolutely.
That we've definitely discovered so far. So
absolutely. So congrats.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Congrats from Ann. You messaged me and you were like, hey, I took a job. We got to talk about it. We'll talk soon. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with this information. This is quite the bomb that's been dropped in my lap. But yeah.
It is. Well, here we are. And it's real. Like, so day one was actually Friday, and it was like, hi, team. So we're right smack at the start of this thing. So I'm excited to unfold it. And, I've been doing one-on-one business coaching for 3 years, I guess now. And I'm still going to, but I'm switching that side too. Because like you and I always tend to talk about like work-life balance is garbage. There's just life, there's just like everything. And so, I'm still going to be taking clients, but I'm going to be doing it for equity instead of like paychecks. So it hopefully gets me some longer term situations to be a part of. So that's the couple of things that I'll be have on my mind each morning. So for you, let's talk about where you're at, what you got going on your plate. Because a lot of people are going to know today here, at least I can see probably what you're up to, but not everybody.
Yeah. So we got the book out. We did the audio book. A lot has shifted as far as like what I'm focused on, how we're focused on it. And so essentially the place that I'm at now, right, I've proven my methodology, which didn't even exist the last time we were doing these shows, right? So Sherpa is the way that I teach people to sell. It's the way that I sell. And so we have proven that I can use this to close high ticket deals on one call closes, right? So I can build trust, qualify, and close for a good fit using this methodology. I've also been able to get one-to-one people to be able to use these techniques and use this application of like consultative selling without feeling salesy on their calls. So the next level for me is trying to get to a level to where the product does the majority of the fulfillment, right, through the course and book and other stuff that we've done, because the goal is to try to see if we can get the same level of growth through just the product that people can get with me in a one-to-one basis. Because at that point, then I'll really feel like I'll have a product that can stand on its own and, is something worth kind of shouting from the rafters about right now. So that's kind of the next iteration. And I'm stuck there, honestly, because that next level is about the one-to-many, that transition, right, of being able to talk to a bigger group of people and have the right ones come forward from that group. I don't think I do a very good job of that, and I'm a little bit stuck. So working on that. We have a new version of our website, which is like almost done, and it's been almost done for a while, but we've been kind of stuck on that, but committed to doing it the right way. So Melissa, for the past, I guess a year or so, has been learning SEO from a consultant and client of ours. So she has been going through, of course. And so she has been going through and like optimizing our blog for this like relaunch, and we've already seen some growth just from like the little bitty kind of tweaks and changes that she's done with what was already there. So we're very excited to get the new one launched. So we have that all going on. And then I have just various projects and pipeline and stuff that I need to stay on top of. So I'm excited to get back on the accountability path.
Awesome.
Hold on 1 second. What's the name of the book, John Hill? Can we plug it into the group? Yes. Thank you, Ann. This is why you're a great community person.
That's right.
my book is called Selling from Scratch. Here's a copy of it that I just happen to have on my desk right here. I can't believe you asked. How to Sell More by Simply Being Human. It is on Amazon. It is on Barnes & Noble. If you want the audiobook, you can hear my dulcet tones for 3 to 4 hours, just piped right into your ear holes. Melissa reads a little bit of it, and so does my daughter Alice. It was like really cool family affair kind of thing. So
very cool.
Yep. Yeah,
Love it.
Very exciting.
Cool, man. Well, so for those that haven't heard our methodology before, just the Jake and John methodology, we should probably discuss that real quickly, right?
Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable for people on like a Friday if they don't hear the Monday show. So
that's right.
Yeah. So essentially, Jake and I are big believers in the fact that if you build your goals and plans the right way, it's not only easy to attain them, it's impossible to miss them, is how we think about it. Right. So what we do is we make it expensive to fail around the parts of our goals that we 100% own. Okay. And so Jake is in this new role, and the first 90 days of any leadership role are super important, because that's where you're going to build relationships with the team, get your feet wet, figure out what's going on. So when the original scope of this is going to be for the next 90 days, really digging into this thing about like, how does Jake get really kind of grounded, seated, figured out how to make an impact in this new role while transitioning the things that were his main time focus to a side hustle. So it's kind of the scope of this thing.
Yeah. And we typically, the way we set that up is we talk about some sort of outcome versus goal necessarily. Like, what's the outcome? What's it going to look like? And then work in reverse. And like you said, I love how you said it, is to make it expensive to fail. So we used to do bets on air and say, if we don't hit this thing, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to do it on air so that everyone gets to see us do it. Yeah. I'm actually doing that with a client right now. I told you, I think off air, that we're specifically because he's having issues getting going with procrastination and whatnot. So, okay, great. We're going to make it expensive. Then we're going to make it hard. Yeah. So that's a big part of it.
This is something I've seen from high-performing poker players, high levels of accountability groups, peak performance coaching. Like, when you are intrinsically motivated to go do the hard things, your life begins to change. The way you think about your calendar and what's important, how you spend your time. And so we do this in a very transparent way to just kind of show that it does take a little bit of work to make yourself think about it differently. But once you get to that place, there's not a single goal that you could bring me or Jake that we wouldn't be able to come up with a plan that's got ironclad on the front end of it. Now, there's going to be an aspect of it that we can own. That's what forecasting is. And can you get close enough to the forecast? But that's what we're here to do. Make sure that we're incredibly accountable and consistent to the things that we own completely. So for this first, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, the only difference isn't, as a lot of people say they're intentional about things. But how intentional you really actually are is how willing you are to put yourself out there on the backside to say, if I don't do this, I'm gonna pay for it. And that is a really good way to understand yourself, how intentional and how important this thing is to yourself. Because if you just find yourself dodging it or finding excuses, you may not be ready for that goal yet. Or there may be some scary things you haven't overcome. That you're willing to put yourself out there yet.
And we've talked about this before, but just being accountable to your goals, having them up on a board so that way you can see them on a regular basis, have them taped to your mirrors. That way it's the first thing you see in the morning. Just by putting them more in front of you, you're going to have cleaner vision on what those goals are and work meaningfully in those ways. So this is just adding a little bit of gasoline, which is already expensive to the fire. Yeah. So, okay, Jake, so this is your first week in this first role. Yep. What do you need to get done by Friday to feel good about this first week?
Yeah, I need to really clearly define what my expectations are for the role. Okay. So I need to know what success looks like from their eyes.
Okay.
And so until I do that, I really can't set any big rocks after that necessarily, other than my own personal habits anyway.
Okay.
So obviously I know what the role is. I know what our big goal is to build out this program into small business. Mm-hmm. But past that, we haven't talked about. By this date, we need to have this many people in, and have, and then completion rates and retention rates and all those sort of things that we'll talk about.
Okay. So who do you need to talk to so that way you can be rock solid, clear on the expectations of what this role is going to be and how to do it well?
Yeah. So Katie's my boss. That's going to be the one that I'm going to be speaking with about that.
Okay. Anybody else?
The time frame is Friday. By this week, I'm going to have a clearly written out expectation.
Okay. Is there anybody else like at a peer level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, a guy named Will, who basically heads up the thing that I'm trying to build. He heads up the current version.
Okay, interesting. So to me, I would want a meeting with that person to kind of talk about like, hey, what's been working for you, best practices, stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. We will be spending much time together.
Yeah. In the Katie meeting, because I can't help myself, I would be looking for like, hey, like, what are the KPIs? What are the counts? What are the numbers of activities? Like how, when you're looking at me and grading me, what does that look like? So that way I can be on the same page with you. Cool. So a couple of meetings, right? One with a peer, one with a direct supervisor. Do you have any direct reports?
No, not yet. I'm literally building that department.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. So maybe in that conversation with Will, if he's also building his department, like, hey, what have you learned? What have you found out? All that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we've actually teed some of that up too. So
Nice.
there's he has the departments. They work in pods currently. So they have groups of teams that serve clients. So I'm definitely going to learn from that, and we're going to test some things based on, because they're enterprise, which is a different workflow than small business. So yeah, we'll be looking for that.
Okay, cool. So so the part that we can own, right, is we can ask for the meetings. We can't make someone like want to schedule the meetings, right? So the parts that we can ask are, we're going to ask Katie, we're going to ask Will for some meetings.
Correct.
It's important to know that, right?
That's
They're probably busy.
Yep.
What else do you need to do this week to feel good about Friday?
Work, specifically work related, specifically. Let's see.
Yes, we are talking about work here, but the other big part that we're going to get to this is like, you're shifting the most of what was your like 8 to 5 focus to after hours side hustle stuff, because you're keeping those clients, right? So have they been told about the
I was going to say, so probably what I have thought about is the clients that I am keeping, I have frameworks that I use, but I actually want to lay them out in sort of like a calendar for the client, so that when I show up to those meetings, I'm more prepared, rather than kind of.
And they can be more prepared as well.
More prepared is really the thing, and what that means is laying out next steps before meetings. I have to be more intentional about that, because I know we come prepared with something, but not in the level I'm going to have to do right now to make sure that I show up.
Yeah, I think for your client work that's transitioning into the side hustle, like I think that's essentially the way you have to be thinking about everything, right? Is that time is going to be more of a premium. So how can you prepare before and immediately after, so that way they get really great outcomes. So that way you're going to be potentially meeting with them less. So client transitions. So that's work stuff. Like I think that's a fair amount of work stuff, because the other thing we've learned is not to do too much of this, because it will lead to like too much. So what is Jake doing in his personal life for self-care?
Right. Well, so I was going to say I do have homework for work, but it's kind of bundled in there. So I don't know if you want to list that, but part of my onboarding is I have to read specific books that they sent me.
What books?
I'll get the list. Currently, I'm reading Impact Players.
Okay.
So that's my current. I just read No Rules.
Okay.
So that one's done.
Okay.
And then the next is The Coaching Habit. Will be that's the one next up.
Interesting. When do you need to have these done?
The Netflix one, which is that first one, No Rules, and Impact Players have to be done by Friday.
Okay. So you're on good pace for that, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we have work stuff here. Are you doing anything for personal care, self-care?
Yeah, I mean, I have my normal. I think the main thing for personal care is don't break my current morning.
Don't break the routine.
Don't break the routine.
Okay.
And if I need to shift, but don't break it.
Okay. Anything you need to do relationship-wise, friends, family, referral partners, anything else like that? Do you need to start telling other people in your network, hey, I've taken this role, so my client work is now a side hustle? Anything like that?
I've done that already. I'm sure I've missed somebody, but I've definitely put that message out. I've talked to clients. I've talked to my current referral partners and let them know. No, I mean, I think the big thing is understanding how I'm going to get new clients now versus the way I was getting them before, because that will be probably a very different, I don't know, process necessarily, but time spent will be much different.
Well, yeah, I think it'll be cool to watch you shift it into like a marketing driven kind of acquisition model versus like a networking and sales driven acquisition model, which is kind of what it has been for this time. So I think potentially more stages at lower dollar investments, so that way when they kind of earn their way up to that top dollar investment, it makes sense. How are you going to work on your side hustle after work if you go to bed at 8:30 p.m.? That's a great question, Ann. When does all this work take place, Jake?
Well, I do get up early-ish compared to some people, so I have plenty of time. I mean, I have 14 hours that I'm awake at least, so there's plenty of time in 14 hours to get everything done. It goes back to one of our concepts, John, is there's plenty of time for everything, or there's plenty of time for some things, but there's not plenty of time for everything. So it's what are my days focused on? And I mean, it's kind of a opaque answer maybe, but it's like, it's because I'm focused on it every day, a little bit. That's how it gets done. And I'm a 100% remote position, and I make my own schedule. So the new clients for the business I bring on, I get to schedule that time. And so I don't have to do it after 5 p.m. I can do some of that work in the day when I have time throughout the day. I just have to schedule it well, time block it well.
So, Ann, did you hear what I heard? This is going to be a 20-hour work day. He's going to get 4 hours of sleep, and it's all just going to be fine in the wash.
No.
Tell us the stakes, Jake Jordan. Tell us the stakes.
Tell us the stakes. I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't even thought about that yet. What are the stakes this week? Gosh, I should take my own advice, and they should hurt really bad if I want this stuff to get done. It should be really painful stakes. Meaning I really don't want to do the thing.
Well, okay, so it's important to note, is there anything in here that you're going to be naturally avoidant about? Stuff that like normally takes kind of a back seat for the activities and work that you have to spend around the day. Because like if all of this stuff is top of mind and you're not really going to be avoidant of it, you don't, in my opinion, have to go as far as about building a stake. Now, if this is stuff that you hated to do, like cold calling or something like that, then you probably need to juice it up a little bit. But
correct. Yeah, that's a good point. Like you up the stakes when the avoidance is higher.
Yes.
It helps even things out. So yeah, no, these are very top of mind. These are things I'm already doing. Okay. So it's more just like I'll give, we had money. It was an easy place to start. We'll get more creative as we go. Yeah. I'll give, $100 to, I will buy however many copies of John's book, $100 will get, and send them out to friends. That's what I'll do if I fail.
I love that because I still don't want you to fail.
That's right. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. Right? So,
man, I love this because my BIL bet's going to be that I'm going to buy as many copies of your book as $100 will get.
We'll get to that, won't we?
Yeah, we are going to get to that because Jake has a book, everybody. He just hasn't gotten around to publishing it yet. So this is a really great BIL bet.
That's great. That's great.
So awesome. So part of this new role is that Jake has a meeting every morning at 8 a.m. with his team leader and direct report. So we're going to be wrapping this up before 8. Tomorrow we'll talk about my week, what's on the calendar. This is a short week because of the holiday. Happy birthday to my sister, by the way. So today is her birthday. Yes.
Awesome.
But yeah, so go have your first kind of daily meeting. We're going to be here every morning, guys, 7:30 this time on these channels. Come hang out with us. You're going to hear us talk about how we bulletproof our plans. Bring your own plans. We'll help you bulletproof them. Yes. Look at this. Jennifer Bleem coming in hot with some fire. Get that book published on me.
Thank you.
She has a great book.
Yes, I know.
So good.
Yeah, very good.
So, all right, everybody. So we'll see y'all tomorrow, 7:30, same bat time, same bat channel. Jake's got a meeting. We'll see everybody then. Cheers.
See you, Bill.
See you, Bill.